Okay, so I think it's pretty safe to say that the world is a crazy place. I think it's pretty safe to say that there are plenty of people in the world who are not so safe and maybe not so good. And recently I went away. I was not at my phone. I did not have my laptop. And I was basically at rehab. And I experienced a lot of that. And I won't say it's the main reason why I left, but it definitely was a factor in why I left the way that I did. Also, I took off my glasses. But for obvious reasons, I'm not going to name them, like the place by name. But I will say that some of the staff were really awesome. Some of the people there, some of the patients were really awesome. But I feel like I took a lot away personally from this experience. But one thing I guess that I was reintroduced to was the fact that, like, once again, there are a lot of people in the world who are not the best, who are very predatory. And when it comes to, like, quote unquote recovery, whether we're talking about like from trauma, from abuse, from drug abuse or whatever, it is really necessary to recognize that sometimes, how do I say this? It is not your fault that things turn out a certain way or that you feel a certain way, you know what I mean? Once again, without pointing fingers too much and like pointing blame, external blame, a lot of people are really fucked up. And we could blame the system at large, we could blame X, Y, and Z, but it's really necessary that you don't like blame yourself and get too hung up on like self, unless you know deep down that you're one of these predatory people and you know that you're not a safe person. Then it would be up to you. It's your responsibility to like become a better person, but like that's your own journey. Once again, some of the staff were really awesome people, but like being in that environment, getting sober and being in that environment really reminded me that the world prioritizes people who prioritize themselves. And I don't want to say like it also prioritizes predatory people, but to some degree that is a thing. Like, I'm not a psychologist yet, but I pride myself on being super observant, sometimes to my own detriment, but I'm super observant, and just watching people interact with one another and watching myself interact with people also, the world is a fucking crazy place. I was going to go into the cemetery to record this, but it's actually like 2 a.m, and it's very dark, and I did not turn on the flash. I do not have a flash, so that's a no-go. But yeah, one of the counselors that I developed a relationship with happened to be a person who identifies as a medium and does spirit work and stuff like that. And it was really nice talking to her, because it seemed like a lot of people there, like, I don't like talking shit about people, but like one thing I will say is that it seems like a lot of people have the ability to get degrees and to get education, but then still somehow not know exactly what they're talking about or not actually be good at their job. You know what I mean? Because we could agree to disagree, but I believe that part of the health field, part of being a good member of the health field is having empathy and like, you know, actually caring about the person that is in front of you. And it seemed like for a lot of people, God bless their hearts, they were just there for a paycheck, you know? And I think that's so dangerous. But like at the same time, philosophically speaking, how dangerous can it be if they don't see it as a problem, if they don't see it as a danger? But like to the person that they're helping or supposed to be helping, quote unquote, it's kind of dangerous because you don't give a fuck about me. You're just here to get paid, and you're gonna leave at the end of the day and not think about me once after you're gone, you know? One of the people I talked to who was subscribing me medicine, she happened to be a person who had education in psychology. Is that how you say that? I don't know how you say that. But she was like a psychiatrist or whatever, and she was also like a medical, like a nurse, or I don't know, positions and titles and whatever. But I was like baffled because I was talking about, there's traffic, but I mentioned to her like holistic medicines, and she just kind of like brushed it on. She didn't give a single flying fuck. She had no interest in like holistic medication, and you know, to each their own, right? But like, I would imagine that like you're in the healthcare profession, and so like if the person in front of you suggests something that they think would be good for them, you should at least like take heed, you know? I don't know. That's what I think. At least with the assumption that she actually gave a fuck about helping people. You know what I mean? And I'm sure she did on some level, but like, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna get on my high horse for like 2 seconds and say that it really grinds my gears to see people who are helping others to live their best lives, but at the same time, they're not living their best life. You know, like you're eating really bad, you're eating junk food, you know, like you're not exercising, but then somehow you're an authority to teach others. And once again, I say this, and I'm gonna step off the high horse and say that I love so much some of the people that I got to interact with. Like, if I never see them again, they will always be in my heart. You know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. Like, even though I think these things and I could get a little judgmental, I genuinely feel for these people, and I'm like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I feel like if you're going to teach other people, if you're going to help other people, you have to also like be an example, you know? And it's not easy, but like it also is very worth it. You know what I mean? Like I have a water bottle with me. I make sure to drink water all the time, and I within the last few months have been very conscious of my diet. Even if I don't always eat the best, I'm at least aware of that, and I know that like that's usually why I'm not feeling super great. And once again, I don't claim to be a know-it-all. I don't claim to be like that person, but like, also it's getting dark. I'm sorry. But I know what I know. And like one thing I learned about myself, which I guess isn't really a learning experience, but one thing that I rediscovered, I guess you could say, I'm moving through some trees, is that I am a very soft person. And I don't mind being a soft person. But like, for me to truly be the best soft person that I can be, I have to learn how to navigate through less soft energies. Does that make sense? Like, there were moments of tension within my experience there. And I've been to rehab before, albeit not drug-related rehab, but I've been to rehab before. And I've never had an experience like I had at this place. And I will also say that this place was like the biggest place. Also, I don't know what that is, but hold on. It was a pretty big place. Like, I enjoyed being able to like lay in the grass and just like take walks. You know, like I've never experienced that at a rehab facility before. Like that was very unique. But I feel like when it comes to drugs and like the chemicals in our brains, it does cause people to act really crazy when you get off of them and when you get on them. And so there was a lot of like animosity and like disrespect and like rudeness. And I don't know, I feel like the people in authority were like trying their hardest to appease to everybody, but like to some degree, you just gotta like weed out the nasties, you know? Because for people like me, it was really hard for me to like want to be there long term. Um, Partially why I left was so I could get back to this and doing this sort of stuff. But like that was another thing that pushed me to leave so soon, because I was gearing up to just like take one for the team. That's, I don't know why I'm saying that phrase, take one for the team, to like take a bullet or whatever and just wait until the first week of April to come back. But there was just so much animosity, unspoken animosity, and it grinds my gears to like witness somebody call themselves like a grown adult, but then not be able to like function like a grown adult. Like I would hear people be like, okay, I'm gonna quote somebody. The day that I left, which was actually yesterday, I guess, there was one class and the counselor who facilitated this class, amazing teacher. And I will also say, like, some of the people in the class were pretty cool. Like, I don't like talking shit about people. I like to see the good in people, right? But, like, this one dude that I was having specific issues with, he said something along the lines of, I'm tired of seeing grown men and their sensitivities, or something like that. I'm misquoting, but he said something along the lines of, I don't like that grown men are sensitive. And I'm thinking all these thoughts in my head, like, first of all, sensitivity is not a bad thing. Second of all, you're not a grown man. You still have growing to do, because you can't even fucking, like, conflict resolute. That's not how you say that. Conflict resolute? I don't know. But you know what I mean. Like, because I don't claim to be the most mature, the most grown person, but like I at least know when I'm wrong. You know what I mean? And like, I think he was directing it at me. I'm not really 100% sure, but I think he was. And it was honestly a misunderstanding, because the thing that we had specifically had been resolved. Like we had like a conflict resolution moment. But like, because of it, honestly, it was on the staff's end, because I was not in the room when they did the second conflict resolution, and so there was a lot of misunderstandings. And once again, these people don't know how to fucking handle their anger, and like, so it was just like a whole thing, you know, where like people wouldn't say what they were actually feeling, but then they would say things indirectly, and then be really like passive aggressive. And it's like, if you're gonna be a man and fucking say how you feel, you know what I mean? Like, don't, you know. And like another thing, like on a spiritual level, like I would definitely say that like there's a lot of wickedness and like lack of integrity, lack of respect that people have in general, and especially men. And like, once again, it grinds my gears to no end to hear people say, be a man, and stuff like that. Meanwhile, they can't even articulate when they're upset. Like, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'll be the first person to say, I also have a hard time articulating when I'm upset, but I also know not to like throw that onto other people before I've like taken the time to process it. You know what I mean? Like, also the paradox of like complaining about the sensitivity of others. Meanwhile, you're complaining because you have been offended. So like, you're technically one of the sensitive ones. You know what I mean? Like, what? Make it make sense. Right? Like, and once again, I'm a man of honor. I do not like talking shit about people. So I will say that like, all of these people have redeeming qualities, for sure. But like, it's washed out by their lack of like critical thinking. You know, like, they feel a feeling and it's like, they just act on it, and it's not even like, let me think about this. And it's crazy because like, that's literally what the teacher was talking about. She was like talking about processing her feelings and shit, and they're just like coloring and like just tuning everything out. And I'm like, okay, Mr. Man, alrighty. You know what I mean? And we all have our own journeys. We all have our own ways to go, sure. But for you to outwardly disrespect other people and then call yourself a man is crazy to me. Like, what? And I'm not gonna like, I'm gonna sugarcoat it a little bit, but like, I also recognize very fully that me specifically, my energy signature, I also bring an interesting flavor to the table, because then like then it has people questioning their sexuality and shit like that, and it's like, and then people want to like direct that towards me and be angry at me because I'm making them feel things that they've never felt, and I'm like, you know what I mean? And it's like, why do I have to suffer the consequences because you don't know how to process your feelings? You know what I mean? I mean, obviously I'm not going to say that, but it's like, what the fuck? You know? And don't get me started on the lack of respect towards women. Like, that is also like an X versus a check mark. An X, like, you know, like an X, like a thumbs down when it comes to like identifying as like a man. Like, if you actively disrespect women, you're not a man. Like, you're a child. I'm sorry, but you're a child. You know what I mean? Like, it makes me so upset. And I just want to, like, in case there are, like, you're listening to this and you're like a person who I'm talking about, like someone who doesn't respect women, isn't able to articulate their feelings or process their feelings, it doesn't make you an inherently bad person. But when you're constantly projecting your anger onto other people without thinking it through, it kind of makes you a little bit of a shitty person. I just found a penny. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean you can't change. It doesn't mean you can't evolve and grow. But like, the first step to fixing something is becoming aware that there even is something to fix, you know? And the fixing is your shitty attitude, you know? Like, also, I really did wish that I would have like made this more aesthetically pleasing, but I've been sitting on this idea since I was still in the facility, and so this is me trying. This is my best. You know, I'm also gonna write something out, I think, that's more like cohesive, and I'll probably post them around the same time or something. I don't know, but like, I just really want whoever needs to hear this. Like, there's always room for improvement. Wherever you are on your journey, there's always room for improvement. But the first part of that is humbling yourself enough to say that you are not the most perfect being in the world. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, on some level, we could say that we are all perfect as we are, sure. You know, whether you're a Nazi, whether you're a Jewish, whatever you are, we could say that that's just who you are, and that's perfect. But like, I think that's also why the world is not the best that it could be. You know what I mean? Because like, people are just like stuck in their ways and just refuse to change. I didn't mean to rhyme, but I guess it's that time. JK. I've been writing a lot of music also when I was in there. Like, I didn't have my phone, and so I was writing a lot, physically writing. I wrote a lot of really, really good lyrics that I'm really excited to get out there. So stay tuned for that if you care about that. Also, another thing, if I could quote the 4 agreements real quick: don't make assumptions. Like, I fucking hate that people make assumptions so easily, because this is something that I witnessed so much. And once again, the teacher, God bless her, I love her. Like, I'm not gonna name anybody, but she was amazing. She was talking about making assumptions, and it was like so irritating to me because nobody, like, it was like crickets in that classroom as she was speaking such truth about what was going on. And I was just like, and like, because of the tension in the room, it was really hard for me to speak. Like, I didn't have the authority to speak, I felt like. And so I was just kind of like stuck in my own body. So I wasn't really speaking up as much as I would have loved to. But it was just so baffling to me, like, that things could just go in one ear and out the other when it's directed at you and it's necessary for your growth. You know what I mean? Like, crazy. But the 4 agreements: don't make assumptions, always do your best, make your word impeccable, aka be a man of your word. And what's the other one? I always forget the 4th one. Okay, maybe I'll remember later and I'll put a little edit thing. But the main one that I wanted to talk about was don't make assumptions. Like, because so many people make assumptions and they are always wrong because most people do not have the perception level that is necessary to just be right about assumptions. You know, we could also talk about the law of assumption and like conscious creation, but like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not aware of that, then like you're probably going to be wrong. And so these people would make assumptions about me and just not even ask me questions. Like the guy that I was talking about, who was like talking about people being sensitive, he happened to see me searching my music, and I was like, I'm an introvert, and I'm like not about to shove my music in anyone's face, especially if I know that they're going to like not like it or they're going to evil eye it. You know what I mean? And so basically, I kind of like down it, and I'm like, whatever, it's nothing. He doesn't bring it back up. I hear him complaining to somebody else about it, but he never brings it back up. He never asks me what kind of music I make or like anything about me. He doesn't try to have a conversation with me, but I just know he's making all these assumptions and he's talking shit. And like, it's just like, how stupid are you? How immature are you to call yourself a man and also have children? Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people should not be procreating, like, at all. Like, and I wish the best for his children. Thank God I'm not the type of person to like do ancestral sort of stuff. But like, you know what I mean? Like, cause I could hold that hate and I could be like, fuck you, fuck your children. But I don't, because like, that's the fucking future. You know what I mean? But like, the arrogance, you know, is out of this world. You know what I mean? Like, no. And so I'm glad I'm out of that environment. Specifically, I'm glad that I'm away from those people because the environment was beautiful. The environment was amazing. And it sucks that like other people can ruin your experience anywhere. You know what I mean? But I think I'm better off away from those energies, you know? Because fuck that jazz. Like, they say one bad apple can ruin a bunch. How about 17 apples? 17 bad apples, you know what I mean? Like, fuck that. So, yeah. But yeah, back to the health field thing. It sucks because a lot of people really do get those positions and really don't give a fuck about humans. Don't give a fuck about anyone but themselves. And once again, we can say spiritually, we're all perfect as we are, whatever. But at the same time, fucking no. Like, there's always room for improvement. And I believe that we're all here to learn something, you know? And if you're not learning, you're kind of just a waste of space. Like, one of the thoughts that I was having, as judgmental as it sounds, as much as I don't like having these thoughts, was that, like, genuinely some people, specifically people who walk around thinking that they're hot shit but they're not, are a waste of space. Once again, I don't like thinking like that. I actively, like, when those thoughts come up, I'm like, fuck, Holy Spirit, please, remove these thoughts. Help me. Because I don't like thinking like that. But, like, witnessing some people behave. And then also, I was reading the Bible while I was there, and, like, there was a lot of stuff about, like, wickedness and shit. And I was just like, yeah, this is why the world is so corrupt, because people just perpetuate like negativity and like nastiness. And like, once again, we can blame the system at large, but it's just like, as an individual, at some point you just gotta like do better, you know what I mean? But I digress. I hope that this video did something for you. I don't know. I feel like I just kind of rambled and like complained a lot of it, but I feel like there was something useful here. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, I guess. Keep your head up. Don't let the ugly people get you down. And like, make sure you drink fucking water, please. And deuces.